Okay, fall 2024. We get to this season after some disappointments of the year. Like, I know I was really looking forward to our last Crusade season 2. We all know that went down. We had ReZero. Fantastic. Blue Box, A tier stuff right there. Romance of the year so far. And then on top of it, we get this one thing. This monstrosity of a series, right? Goodbye Dragon Life. I I was watching like 20, 22 shows this season, nothing too crazy. And man, was I just mistakenly thrown off by how completely absurd and weird this show was, okay? For a base premise, we have this character named Dolan. And in his past life, he was this dragon, right? This like godlike esque dragon that was like OP and everything. And he gets reincarnated as a human with the soul of a dragon still. And you're like, okay, well that's not too weird of a concept, And we're going along this journey, right? And he's pretty much just trying to fit in society and just relive a life and have friends. Because apparently in his dragon life, he got killed by the hero and things were great. And he didn't really have any friends or anything like that per se. So he's clearly overpowered because for some reason he maintains like a bunch of abilities he had as a dragon between stamina and magic and attacks and everything. And he's living in this small village. And right from the get-go, you're like, okay, so this is like your normal, like, I guess not necessarily isekai, but more like a reincarnation fantasy, adventure type thing. And I'm like, okay, I can deal with some mid fantasy, to fill me in for a while here, because we know the rest of the season, besides, the few that I listed and everything, it was okay. It was an okay season. Moving along, and like he meets this character like not too far down the strip, because apparently there's some like creature going around, and causing chaos. And her name is Selena, and she's a I'm trying to think what the heck they're called, but she's half serpent, half human, right? Totally lewd, totally like this like what's the word I'm looking for? Blissful lewd character. And she's looking for marriage, and like of course what she is, they eat humans and everything. And he's like, oh yeah, and he brings her back, and like everything's kind of going normal, and like it gets a little weirder because like the town that they're in, there's this character named Mew, and she's serving up the town milk, and she's like an ox girl, and the milk's from her boobies. And it is what it is, until a little later on this other character named Christina comes along, and like she's like this like top tier fighter from the big town, and she's here to observe the small town. And like at first she's like portrayed as like a villain, but she's really not a villain. And it gets so weird, right? So like there's this lady named Olivia, and she's like the head of the university that this lady goes to, or school, or whatever you want to call it. And like at first everything's going fine in the village, and something going on in town, because apparently, quote unquote, they were reporting about Selena being there because she has to, quote unquote, get like almost like a tax permit just to live in this town. Like she's like, it's like she's a pet, and so they go to get permission from whatever. And on top of this, right, they drag Dolan along because he wants to go with, because she's obviously scared and everything. And like I skipped out this detail, but just to get her to get in the village, obviously he had to convince the villagers that she wasn't bad, so she'd come to the village to live with them, because like, whatever. And they get there, and there's like this bad witch, and like everybody, from what you're already kind of assuming, like this is kind of weird. Like, why are we just dragging them to the town? Like, what's a bad witch? And like apparently everybody kind of knew this whole time she's a bad witch, and this is the whole ploy to get her out. And they feel bad because she wanted to take Selena, and like she's been taking people for like 1,000 years, taking their ligaments and like using them to make their lives better, and like it's just weird. After they get back, everything's great and fine, and obviously like everything's dandy after they defeat this witch. And then like we already met him, but he's like the chief security or defense force at this village, and he's married to the ox woman. And like him and Christina, my bad, have this like competition for like to see who can drink the most of his wife's milk. Okay. And so they're drinking all this milk, and they're going ham, and then like they try this milk that's Mir's, which is their daughters, right? So now we're drinking this girl's milk, and like it's just going everywhere. And like, so we're drinking this milk, right? And the competition's over. You get more glimpses into his dragon life a little bit, and I'm like, out of nowhere there's more troubles, and we go into the woods, and like there's this whole elf village out there, and apparently the demon portal opens up, and like a bunch of demons come out, like three or four of them, if I remember correctly. And like they're all like trying to kill the elves and like take over the world. And so like it hurts to think about, but like the animation frames were just so bad. It was so bad. And they offer to help Christina and Dolan and Selena. And so they help out, and like the first time they fight, they just get their butts whooped, except until Dolan kind of like uses a little bit of his dragon power, and like one of the baddies recognizes his power from a past life where he was also like this, like, I guess it was like Gorg or something. He realizes, oh, this guy was definitely the dragon. And so they wait like 2 days to fight them. And at first the elves are like, no, it's not. And I guess there was demis too, but like, no. Let's do this ourselves. And then they're like, no, we can't do it ourselves. So then like they're going out there, and Dolan gives Selena this like bead that like protects her with her magic, and like his whole convoluted thing happens. But like, long story short, they fight, and in the end Dolan ends up winning. Selena ends up winning. Every one of them ends up winning their fights with these big demons. But like, while he enters the demon world because like that's the only place they could fight with him not holding back his dragon powers, because obviously this one guy knows that he's like a dragon. And like, while they're in this world, one of the ladies that I guess is like his nemesis in his past life is there, and she like recognizes his power there, and like they get back to the world, everything's fine, they get back to their town, and then out of nowhere he gets home and gets stabbed through the freaking chest, right? And then we get to this whole episode of them like, everybody's saying like, oh, we hate you, we're leaving the village. And it's like, okay, well, this is kind of weird, whatever. And turns out it was just this huge nightmare that she plotted up. And like, it was so ridiculous. And then like after that, he's like, oh yeah, you're still my nemesis, it's fine, we'll meet every now and then. In the next episode, he ends up going to this college to go to college, right? The finale. And Selena's all mad that, she's like, oh, he's gonna leave me behind. And he goes to test it out, take the test, and he comes back, and he's asked to bring her to the college. Like, he asked if he could bring a pet. And like, oh, he gets permission, but it turns out she leaves because she doesn't want to be a burden. And he finds her, and then he gets her back, and then like they're gonna go to college. And, like, this whole time, his old nemesis is kind of like skankily just hanging like a ghost around him. And like, overall, this show made absolutely no sense. The animation was so bad, and like I just I'm having so much trouble even talking about it right now. And let me tell you, if you're bored and you feel like watching something that's just gonna like ruin your day, this is the show for you, because I spent 12 weeks watching this pile of crap. Why I did it, who knows, but I did it. And the whole time nothing made sense. And like, if you think about it, it's one of the most wild, weird roller coasters I've been on in a while. I mean, we've got like ox woman milk and her daughter's milk, and it's like to treasure the city, and then we got this like snake girl, and then we've got this guy who's like having mental contemplations about his life now, been being a dragon in the past. And then like another plot point I forgot to mention was that Christina chick, in the lores, it's these like quote unquote like different humans that like have the ability to kill dragons. Like obviously he was a dragon, so but they never like cover that topic again. It's just all over the place. So many loopholes, so many conclusions, so many questions. And like the whole time I'm thinking to myself, why am I still watching this? Like there was a lot of series this season, this fall 2024 season, where I was like, why am I watching this? And to that extent, I mean, hey, you know what? It is what it is, but like, wow. Talk about a mess. If I had to think of a comparative mess, it's like those late 2000s, early 2012 animes that like they rushed to put it together, and like the manga, the source material was great, but like with their time constraints and studio budget and like everything else, it just so rushed along that you can't even understand what the heck is going on. Well, it was like that, but at the same time, I think this one is just ass. Like I don't think there was any intention of this one being good from the get-go, and for some reason I watched the whole thing, and this is based off a light novel, but man, what a ride. What a ride it was. And like the worst part was is like there was a song, I'm trying to think of which one it was, but towards the end that was actually pretty good. And I thought to myself, wow, this is the best part of the series, is this one specific song that was for a special part of the episode, not just like an actual ending theme or an opening theme. That was it. And like to think this was actually any good, I tell you what, oh man, what a headache. And that's really all I got to say about this. I just need to talk about it because, oh man, it was I watched the whole thing and I don't know how I did it. So I guess that's about it. This has been Squids, and I'll see y'all on the next video. Peace.